Last week, in your in-person or Zoom lesson, you learned how to do calculations related to density, and we use those in the lab. Today's lesson is simply about practicing those kinds of calculations more. So I'm just going to run us through 3 density calculations as a review so you can remember from last week how you were supposed to have done this. So we'll start simply by remembering our density equation. So you may remember from last week the density equals mass over volume. Or, using our triangle, remember you can use the triangle by covering up one of the letters and then it tells you how to do the others. So we're going to go ahead and I am going to do 3 problems. Okay. So the first one is this. A chef fills a 50 milliliter container with 43 grams of cooking oil. What is the density of the cooking oil? All right, so again, we're going to start with what we want. And in terms of want, we look for the question. Here's the question. What is the density of the oil? So what we want is density. Okay. Secondly, we want to know, what are we given? And we are given a 50 milliliter container, so that's a volume measurement. And we are given 43 grams of cooking oil. That's a mass measurement. All right. So then our last piece to this is for us to go ahead and do the solving. Okay. So we know that density equals mass over volume. Okay. And if I go then, that means density equals our mass, which is 43.5 grams, over our volume, which is 50 milliliters. And I do the math, and I get an answer of 0.87 grams per milliliter. All right, so that one's fairly straightforward. Let's do the next one. Calculate the mass of a liquid with the density of 2.5 grams per milliliter and a volume of 15 milliliters. So once again, we're going to go through what do we want. In other words, what are they asking for? And so they're asking us to calculate the mass. So this time we want mass. Okay. What did they give us? Well, we look for the numbers. They've given us a density of 2.5 grams per milliliter. And they've given us a volume of 15 milliliters. Great. We've got it all together. Okay. So what they want this time is they want mass. And so if I go back and I come up here and I cover up my mass, that tells me how to calculate this. So mass equals volume times density. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to put numbers in now. So mass equals 15 milliliters times 2.5 grams per milliliter. Milliliters canceled out, and so I end up with an answer of 37.5 grams. Last problem. Calculate the volume of a liquid with a density of 5.45 grams per milliliter and a mass of 65 grams. So once again, we're going to ask, what do they want? They want us to calculate the volume. What did they give us? Well, 2 things were given. One, they told us that the density is 5.45 grams per milliliter, and the mass is 65 grams. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and solve this. So for this one, they're asking us for volume. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to scratch out my volume. I'm going to remember then that volume is mass over density. Okay. So when I do that, I end up with the volume equals 65 grams divided by 5.45 grams per milliliter. The grams are going to cancel, the milliliters will flop around, and so we end up with a final answer of 11.9 milliliters. There's our examples of how to do 3 different kinds of density problems using the equation or the density triangle. Good luck. Check your answers as you work through today's problems, and we'll see you later.